Did you see that I was like sponsored by True? I read on the internet, True has the knowledge, people, and means to seamlessly integrate both the digital work as well as the web environment to the application landscape of their customers. So there's that. My name is Japie. Hello. I am a partner and the creative director of a company called A Friend of Mine, and we make advertising here in Amsterdam. And our company is about 45 people, who most of them are millennials, which means that they are super smart, very digitally native, very creative, and also most of the time the fucking worst. And the reason I can say this is that because I'm also a millennial, and I was also the fucking worst. Throughout my career, I thought I was always the smartest guy in every room. I always knew the answer to everything, but the clients never really wanted to agree with me. And it got so bad that at one point, I actually tried to get myself fired from my job just because I couldn't deal with this one client that I was working on that was giving me hell. And then I was like, Mom, maybe getting fired is not the best solution. And I really changed my thinking. That client turned out fine. I am now the manager of a bunch of people. I have become much more happy and successful, so yay for me. But now as a manager, I see a lot of my people who I really love struggle with the same things that I struggled with. And so then I was like, I should write a book, which I did. I also made the cover, not smart. It's called You're a Legend and Everyone Else Sucks, and I would like to read to you a chapter from the book, just to make sure. Who in the audience, show of hands please, was born on or after 1983? So on or after, yeah. That means that most of you guys are millennials. And then so I would say, pay attention. All right. Dear millennial creative, let's quickly talk about the wondrous world of working for clients. Although you are super talented and smart enough to remember every character in Game of Thrones by name and house, and how likely you are to have sex with them, this particular part of your job seems to confuse you. You seem to be slightly confounded by what it is you actually do all day. No biggie, I'll help you out. I know what it's like to be a creative who wants to make an impact. And I, like no other, know that the clients are in your way. I know that you are capable of real and uncompromising greatness. And if the clients would just only let you do your thing, things would be so much better. Clients, aren't they the worst? I know that after you've spent days or weeks building a plan or a design or a prototype, something that you poured sweat and tears into, the client you're working with should just shut up, accept it as the best thing they're going to get, and move on. Or, if they really don't like it, they should go somewhere else. They should just see it for the work of towering beauty that we both know it is. After all, they wouldn't have hired you if they thought you sucked, right? And yes, I know that they are offering up a low budget that will never solve their problems. And I know that they write briefings that look laughably horrible and hardly make sense. I know that it's not you that's keeping these projects from turning into award-winning works. You and your team had your eye on that goal from the very beginning, and you never wavered from it. It was the stupid clients and their insane wishes. Clients. But listen to me. You are a child. An annoying child. Like, when you're in a supermarket and there's this kid that isn't allowed to take the cookies she wants, and she starts crying in that extremely annoying, droning kind of way, like a way that makes you think twice about having kids. That's you. It's okay. It was me too. I hate to break it to you, but you're not actually working with a client. I know it sounds really stylish and vaguely Berlin-ish to say that you're working with a brand. I say it all the time because it has a nice ring to it and it makes me seem cool and important. It makes me feel like me and the client are really working together to build something of substance, and that my opinion is equally as important as theirs. This is, after all, a true partnership. And I am a brand myself of sorts. We are like Kanye and Jay-Z doing a collab. But you are not working with a client. You are working for a client. This is an important distinction to make. Because correct me if I'm wrong, do you work there at the clients? Like, are you actually an employee of that company? Did you drop $1 million to become equity partner? No, they don't ultimately give a fuck about who you are. And that means that, frankly, you should feel lucky that you're entitled to an opinion at all. There are cleaners, seamstresses, painters, and countless other hardworking people who wouldn't even conceive to have an opinion about the work they're doing. Interesting choice of color for this wall, mister, but I decided you should really go for eggshell. Or, I know you wanted the zipper of these pants fixed, but I was inspired by Pinterest, and I made your pants into a hat instead. Is a great way for a painter or a seamstress to get fired. Someone asks them to do a job, and they do it as best they can, and then enjoy the money they made by doing their job. They know work isn't an artistic pursuit. Work is work. The painters know they are not painters. The seamstresses know they are not fashion designers. And if they do have secret ambitions to aspire to those heights, they will do it in their spare time, while they eat the noodles that they bought with money from their actual job. Nobody asks you to be an artist. Nobody asks you to change the world. And unless your name is scribbled on the bottom of whatever thing you're making, this is not your canvas, and you are not the artist behind it. So let me make this very plain. If you want to be an artist, then great, be an artist, go rent a studio, and make beautiful digital art for the world to gawk at, or shut the fuck up. There are periods there, so that's why I say it like that. Clients are people. Clients are people. They are not creative geniuses like yourself, and that's why they don't work at your agency. But that does not mean they are not smart. It just means that they don't know how Photoshop works, and they don't like between two ferns, and that makes them just like 96% of all people ever. Your clients are intelligent, ambitious, and professional folks who have worked themselves into a position where they have access to money. Money that isn't theirs. More money than you have access to, by the way. Money they can spend on an agency. And that money doesn't come without expectations. There are boss-like manager people at the client side too, and trust me, the expectations they dish out to their employees are a lot more grueling than yours. These people you work for are responsible for a metric shit ton of things, and they have to spend their cash very carefully while their managers and competitors are breathing down the neck, and they have to hit targets that are usually too optimistic and deal with the shit that their predecessor left for them, and do all this while working on an Acer laptop from 1826 with which they can surf the internet, plug in a USB, or open a Dropbox link. And they have picked your company and paid your company their money to help them out. So help them out. Oh, and another thing. I need a sip of wine. And another thing. I know that you expect more from the client you're working with. A better briefing. A bigger budget. A 4-worded PowerPoint presentation that doesn't give you immediate cancer of the eye when you open it. But you know what? If your clients knew how to write a briefing and allocate an appropriate budget, if they knew how to make a beautiful presentation or how to really judge a design on its merits, if they knew how to give you feedback that sounds like they have any idea what they're talking about, if they knew how to filter a good idea from a bad one, guess what? They wouldn't fucking hire you to help them. They would just do it all themselves, saving the money to go scuba diving, and you'd be working a forklift in a storage facility. Make no mistake, the agency you work for doesn't have some secret stash of oil that they sell to pay your salary. There is no oil. The money on your bank account is paid by the clients you work for. And if you're anything like me 5 years ago, you are using that money to buy a French press coffee machine, vinyl records that you'll never play, and one of those useless coffee table books with like 50s ads in them, and you're being a fucking bitch to the people who pay you. Millennials. You're not actually helping. You're not actually listening to what they're saying. not making any effort to understand the way they're viewing the world. You're not teaching them anything. You are snickering behind their backs. And I don't know, maybe you and your friends think it's cool to be haughty and snarky towards the people that ultimately funded your collection of Obey sweaters. That's fine. Imagine that you want to get a tattoo. Maybe you already have one. I saw some really great ones in the audience today, but let's pretend you don't. And imagine that you're going for your first. Imagine that a friend whose judgment you trust lets you know about this great tattoo artist from the city. You look him up on the internet, and his website looks awesome. And when you find his Facebook profile, you see that he likes a lot of the stuff that you like, including that one obscure Danish post-punk band, and then you're sure, this is the guy. You show up to the shop, all excited, and holy shit, it's actually even cooler than you thought it would be. The room is spacious and decorated by someone with great taste and youthful energy. The tattoo artist, who is not late, as you thought he would be, but actually 5 minutes early, shakes your hand with a smile. He already knows your name, and he pats you on the shoulder. His coworker, a cool Asian chick with a stroke of turquoise in her hair, gives you a great cappuccino, and they make a joke that's the funniest thing you've heard all day. As you sit down on a very comfortable chair, you tell the tattoo artist your ideas, and he nods and he listens. He seems really excited about it. He shows you what amazing tattoos he's made for his other customers in the past, and he tells you about all the things he's learned in his many years as one of the best tattoo artists in the world. He's ready, you're ready, shit is about to go down. But then just after you pay him the money you saved up, he gets an epiphany. He decides to walk his own path. He explains that he really thought about it, and he really thinks that you should get something different. You say no, but he doesn't listen. Instead, he gets annoyed by your stammering and asks you to please trust him because he is the artist and you are just some dork. Behind your back, he tells his cool Asian girlfriend that you are a loser and you have no idea what you're talking about. Finally, instead of making you what you asked for, he takes the needle and permanently draws on your arm what he thought would look best on your arm. And it's a loose interpretation of an avant-garde Japanese art piece about pornographic unicorns in a crayon style that evokes street art in Nicaragua. It's definitely not what you wanted, but now it's already on your arm and everyone can see it. And you've paid all this money. Also, it's about 95% finished, because the tail of the unicorn is strangely not filled in with color. When you raise this issue, he scoffs and asks you to please leave because he's very busy, no time in the planning, and someone else is about to come in. His girlfriend then tells you that the avant-garde Japanese art piece was actually a lot harder to put on than he initially thought, and if you could please cough up an extra $500. Does this sound like a great day in your life? Then stop doing this to your clients. Thank you very much. Wait, I need